AMC Movie Talk for movie fans. I'm Chrisley Kennedy, and this is the show where we bring you the day's biggest movie news, and of course we give you insight into what it all means. As you can see, things are a little bit different today, so joining me at the table like a big girl, I'm the big girl, he's not, he's the big boy, is our very own AMC production manager, Mr. Dennison. Hey,
Chrisley. It looks like it's a kind of lonely in the studio today. We're missing our captain, John, and it's just you and me today.
It's just you and me. Yeah. The boss is away today. Well, we'll get things started with this. The upcoming The Amazing Spider-Man 2 hits AMC theaters everywhere on May 2nd, and this morning a brand new trailer for the sequel debuted on the web. So, what do you think of this Amazing Spider-Man 2 trailer?
I think it looks fantastic. I know a lot of people were concerned, and myself as well, about having too many villains in it, a la Spider-Man 3. So I was initially worried that it was going to end up like that, but judging from this trailer, it makes it look like there's a cohesive plot that brings these villains together, and it's not separate stories. So I don't think we're going to get kind of that messy storyline that Spider-Man 3 had. Also, we see Chris Cooper as Norman Osborn in it. And so those rumors with the cast list of him not being on it ended up not being true. He's definitely in it. He's in the trailer. And also, it kind of explains why it looks like Dane DeHaan will be the only Green Goblin, because Norman is dying. Mm-hmm. His character is dying. And then the third thing, which is the biggest thing that everyone's going to be talking about, is the shot that has Doc Octopus's arms and the Vulture's wings on the shot where they're walking through Oscorp. So everyone's going to be talking about that because we all know that Sinister Six is supposed to be in the third one. So now we have Green Goblin, Rhino, Electro, Vulture, Doc Ock. Who's the sixth one? That's going to be the question that people are going to have after this movie. Who is it going to be? I think it's going to be Venom. I think that because there's such a bad taste in everyone's mouth about Venom in Spider-Man 3, that Mark Webb is going to decide to bring him back and do the character justice. I mean, I could be wrong. It could be Mysterio, Kraven, or some other member of Sinister Six. Sinister Six has had many members, but that's what I think. What about you?
I thought the trailer was amazing. I love Dane DeHaan. I love him as an actor, so I'm really excited to see him in the franchise. One of the things that I love about the franchise is that you're getting the action, the acting's amazing, and there's so much great comedy. Like, even that moment of, does the car accident have anything to do with being shot at? Like, there's just these little moments of fun in the film, and that's what I really liked about this, as opposed to, say, Man of Steel, which for me wasn't as fun to watch, or Amazing Spider-Man 2 looks like it's going to be amazing. And Jamie Foxx's Electro, like, I can't get past that one image of him talking. Like, I can't wait to see the movie. I want all of him, the entire thing. I'm so excited.
Honestly, I didn't really care for his voice in it.
No!
Sounded like he needed a cough drop or something like that. So, yeah.
But his look.
His look looks
so
great.
Good.
Looks really cool.
So good. With the tragic passing of Paul Walker, many have been speculating about the future of Fast 7 and where Universal will go from here. In a new statement released by the studio, Universal has announced that the production on the film will remain halted for the time being. The statement reads as followed. Right now, all of us at Universal are dedicated to providing support to Paul's immediate family and our extended Fast and Furious family of cast, crew, and filmmakers. At this time, we feel it is our responsibility to shut down production on Fast and Furious 7 for a period of time so we can assess all options available to move forward with the franchise. We are committed to keeping Fast and Furious fans informed and will provide further information to them when we have it. Until then, we know they join us in mourning the passing of our dear friend Paul Walker. Dennis, what do you make of this statement from Universal?
It's a nice statement, and I think it's definitely necessary, especially for the cast and crew. They're not going to want to come back to work next week or whatever, how long, because his tragic passing is still fresh in their mind. However, the cynical side of me says that there is a group of maybe 2 or 3 writers or producers in secret right now deciding what's going to go on with that franchise. It's such a big franchise and makes them a lot of money. I don't think they're going to be like, okay, let's just not talk about it or let's not deal with this. Cast and crew, that's fine, because they were very close to Paul Walker, and they're not going to want to go back to work. But I think these other writers and producers are in the back room trying to figure it out. What about you?
For sure. I think what fans don't always realize is, you know, when you work on a movie set with people, you become family. And that's sometimes with just one film. This is a franchise of 7 so far. So these are not just his friends and his coworkers. These are people that he has spent months and years of time with. And going back to a movie that pretty much is about how he sadly passed away is going to be really horrific for them to go back to. So I think what they're doing is 100% right. I think out of respect for Paul's family, it's an amazing thing that they're doing. But I also think out of respect for the fans, they're taking into consideration that we love this franchise. I mean, I've seen all 6 of the films. I couldn't wait for 7, and this was hard news to hear. And I'm excited that they're doing this. My concern is that they're going to scrap it and start from scratch. And that to me would break my heart, because I don't think Paul, working as hard as he did on this franchise, would want to see that happen. I think that he would want to see this last movie be finished and be made, and the fans be able to see him that one last time doing something that we know he loved to do. So fingers crossed.
The question, though, is what did they actually shoot? We don't know what scenes Paul Walker did. Story-wise, that just might not make sense. He may have done like these scenes that have no consequence to the story of the movie, and they might be like, well, how are we going to fit this in? So I think that's probably what the situation they have right now is. They don't know how to do that. I think they want to do that, but I don't think they know how.
And we've had a bunch of our amazing listeners and fans write in and say, you know, that other movies where actors have died in the middle, they've made changes or they've CGI'd things in, and they're thinking of all that. Yeah. They're definitely thinking of all that, and they're gonna weigh out all the options and do what makes the most sense for the franchise and the family of cast and crew. So
I'm personally for them scrapping it, redoing it again, and just saying that his character and Jordana Brewster's character went off. They have a kid now, so they decided to leave this life of crime.
Yeah.
That's kind of what I'm hoping for.
I'd be sad not to see him in one final film.
All right. So now we're going to do the buy or sell portion of Movie Talk. And Chrisley, what do we got?
We have, back onto the topic of new trailers, the latest trailer for the upcoming 300 sequel, 300 Rise of an Empire, has hit the web. 300 Rise of an Empire hits AMC theaters everywhere on March 7th. So do we buy or sell this new trailer for 300?
I buy it. I actually liked the first one that they released, and this is a movie that I was very skeptical about when I first heard about a second 300 without Zack Snyder and without, you know, obviously, you know, the characters that you know, died in the first one. I was like, oh, okay, this is gonna suck. But when I saw the first trailer, I was like, oh, okay, this could be good. And the second trailer has kind of reinforced that, especially because you have Lena Headey, who I love on Game of Thrones, you know, doing the voiceover. And it's different because it's Lena Headey and Eva Green. They are the two people fighting in this. Like Lena Headey's heading up the good guys, and Eva Green's heading up the bad guys. So it's these women in power, and they're the ones that are guiding this war. So I really like the trailer, and I'm looking forward to it. How about you?
I love that you brought that up, because I'm actually going to buy it. And I told Dennis this before, and get ready for the comment section to blow up. I fell asleep during the first 300. So, needless to say, I wasn't super excited about the second film, but what you said is exactly what made me excited. I kind of want to see 2 powerful, strong female heroines kick ass. We don't get to see that super often, so that's what's making me buy this trailer. It appears we may have our cast for the upcoming video game adaptation movie, Warcraft, and the previously mentioned name of Colin Farrell isn't on the list. Legendary Pictures has instead set Ben Foster from 3:10 to Yuma, Travis Fimmel from Vikings, Paula Patton from Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol, Toby Cabell from The Counselor, Rob Kaczynski from Pacific Rim, and Dominic Cooper from Captain America the Winter Soldier. Dennis, what do you make of this cast list for Warcraft?
I buy it just because Colin Farrell's not on it, as we've seen with the Chris Cooper thing with Spider-Man. That doesn't mean that he won't still be in the movie. It's still very early. And I like this cast, I mean, especially Ben Foster. I think he's an amazing actor. You have the guy from Pacific Rim, Rob Kaczynski. Yeah, Pacific Rim, I love that movie. It's not a movie that has an emphasis on acting, so you can't really judge him from that. Vikings is a show that I haven't watched yet, but I heard it's really good. And Paula Patton, she was good in Mission Impossible and Two Guns, which I don't know many people saw. I saw that. It was an okay film, but she was all right in it. So I think this cast list is good, and I wouldn't count out Colin Farrell just yet.
I buy. And I buy because of the cast list. I was not super excited about Warcraft because I've never played the game, but the cast list, even without Colin Farrell, makes me excited because of Ben Foster, number one. I fell in love with him in Alpha Dog. I loved him in The Messenger, and then Contraband, he kind of blew me away. He was the one thing in Contraband that I liked. So I think Ben Foster, for me, is what makes me buy it. And then Paula Patton, like you said, I think she's really coming up as an actress, and she's been in some questionable things that make you think she's not so great. But Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol, really, I think she stepped it up, and she's showing that she has a lot more versatility. And like you, I loved Pacific Rim, so Rob Kaczynski, I'm excited to see more of him. According to reports, Kevin Hart and LeBron James are set to play brothers in the upcoming Universal Pictures comedy Ballers. The script for Ballers is currently being reworked by Hart and will feature James as a fictionalized NBA star whose younger brother, played by Hart, has trouble feeling inferior. Production is set to begin in the summer of 2014. Dennis, buy or sell Ballers?
I have to sell it. I'm a big Kevin Hart fan. I think he's hilarious in almost everything that he's in. But this teaming up with LeBron James, which I know he's friends with in real life, he's friends with a lot of the NBA players, I just don't see it, especially because LeBron, if he wanted to get into movies, like, how come he hasn't done, like, side roles and, like, you know, cameos and stuff like that in other movies? I hope that his role in this is minimal and it's really just Kevin Hart, and LeBron is kind of just the plot device in terms of his jealousy of his more famous brother. So, yeah, but even still, I'm just going to have to sell it.
Yeah. Sell. I mean, look at that man. LeBron James does not need a movie. I'm sorry. I'm a huge basketball fan. Sadly, I'm a Celtics fan, so I hate the Heat automatically. But LeBron James, man, I just can't with him. I think that he already has a huge head and a huge ego. We've never seen his acting skills, but I think he's pretty much going to play himself. The guy that everyone kind of hates is super cool, super popular, and of course we haven't seen him in small roles because LeBron's way too cool for small roles. And clearly that's why he took on this. And I am sad because I do love Kevin Hart and he's so funny and a lot of the stuff he does is amazing, but I just can't get on board with the LeBron James project. I'm sorry. As we discussed on the show the other day, Jon Favreau is working on a Jungle Book movie for Walt Disney Pictures. And now it seems Warner Brothers also wants to put out a Jungle Book movie of their own. And they're looking at 21 Grams director Alejandro Gonzalez Inarritu to helm it. The original book was published in 1894 and includes, among a number of other animal-themed stories, the classic tales of an Indian boy named Mowgli who is raised by wolves and lives among the other animals in the jungle. Dennis, buy or sell WB doing their own version of the Jungle Book?
I'm also going to have to sell this as well. It's nothing against the project, but you have something like the Jungle Book, which is synonymous with Disney. How unfair it may be. Same with other stuff like Snow White and Cinderella. Those aren't, Disney didn't create those properties that were, you know, written before, but they took them and now they're kind of like free, open properties that anyone can do a movie or story about. So I don't see why, if Disney is going to be doing one with Jon Favreau, like why WB feels like they need to do another one. Just kind of like the Vince Lombardi movie we were talking about the other day. Just, I don't know. I just think you're fighting an uphill battle.
I'm going to buy it, and here's why. First of all, I loved the original Jungle Book animated film. I loved it. Baloo is one of my favorite characters of all time. He's just amazing. I still literally hear the song in my head of them walking through the jungle, singing and playing. And the reason why I buy it is because, as we've seen in history of movies, whenever two movies of the same type come out, one's really bad and one's really good. So I'm going to buy that one of them is going to be really good. So I'm hoping for a good Baloo.
All right, so now we're on to the mailbag section of the video where we take your email questions, and we got a couple picked out. So, Chrisley, what do we got?
Eric writes, I'm going to say this as nice as possible, guys. I think you all are saints for what you said about Gal Gadot. No disrespect to her, because I don't blame her for taking the role. John, I agree with you. I don't want a 95-pound girl playing Wonder Woman. I'm also a little bit offended she's not an actress yet. She's a model who was in the Fast and Furious movies, and that was a fun popcorn flick where it worked. But I'll bet they would not have picked a male model to play Batman. It almost seems like WB doesn't care. I wouldn't be going to see this movie unless you all say it's great, because I trust your judgment in bringing on the filthy.
Well, I wasn't on yesterday's show where they discussed it. I actually did a video for my own YouTube channel, and I talked about it, so I'll kind of reiterate my points there. Yeah, I was really disappointed when I heard it. Well, first I was like, who? I was like, who's that? And then I looked into who it was. I'm like, okay, I remember her. I remember she was hot, but that's about it. I mean, she was in 3 movies. I didn't even know she was in Date Night and Night and Day. That's how, I guess, memorable she was to me, even being how gorgeous she is. And I just don't see it. I mean, just physically, she's so skinny. And she doesn't seem like she would fit what Wonder Woman is supposed to be. And not only that, we haven't seen her really in any big, beefy roles that leads us to believe that she can carry a whole, not just a movie, but a franchise. I mean, because she's not going to just be like, okay, for the cameo, let's say in Man of Steel, she might be able to pass on that. We might see her and go, okay, she was fine in that. But then she's going to have to do Justice League, and she's going to have to do her own Wonder Woman movie, and she's probably signed on for like at least 2 or 3 Wonder Woman movies. I don't know. I'm just, she can bulk up, but even on that small frame, I don't see it. In acting-wise, we haven't really seen anything from her that says, okay, wow, she can really carry that movie. I was hoping for Jamie Alexander. I thought she would have been perfect. I know a lot of people were saying, well, she's Sif in Thor, she can't be Wonder Woman. Sif in Thor, I mean, I love her character in it. It's not a big role. It's not like she's this big Marvel character that everyone knows. So I think she could have been Wonder Woman if they had wanted to. So that's how I feel. What about you?
Well, I had to pick my jaw up off the floor, and it didn't get picked up until 11 p.m. last night. As you guys know, I'm the biggest one. I like to think I am Wonder Woman, never mind even think I am a Wonder Woman fan. So yesterday was such a bittersweet day for me because I got the news that I'm going to see Wonder Woman on the big screen, and we're going to see her in Man of Steel 2, and I was so excited, and then all of a sudden it got taken away from me. Because one, is Man of Steel 2 now going to be too crowded? We're already talking about several villains, plus Batman versus Superman, and now Wonder Woman. And then with Gal Gadot, you know, we haven't seen her in a lot of things, but we hadn't seen Jamie Alexander in anything really big before Thor either. And when we go to the 95-pound girl playing Wonder Woman, I actually disagree with that because we've met Jamie Alexander in real life, and we've seen that she's kind of a little girl. Like, she's not this big, super powerful girl. She's tiny, but when we see her on screen in Thor, she's huge, and she's amazing, and she's kick-ass. The thing that I really like about Gal Gadot is what we've seen of Fast and Furious. She is the gun-toting, driving fast, hanging off the side of moving vehicles. So I think what I like about her is that she won't be afraid to get dirty. She's going to be able to do the stunts. She's going to be able to do the scenes. She's going to be kick-ass. But will her acting ability be able to hold a franchise? That's what makes me really scared. So super bittersweet. Trying to be supportive. Trying not to think she shouldn't be it. But it's really scary. Michael L. writes, my question is connected with the subjectiveness of movies and your comments about why Emmanuel Lubezki hasn't won an Academy Award. John defended the Academy's choice by saying that they were right each year and every year, which is fair enough. But since we know that all film is subjective and that the Oscars aren't the objective measurement of artistic value, do you think they are even remotely important? I see over 100 new releases every year, including all the nominees, and yet I rarely agree with the Academy's choices. For example, last year's Argo, though a good movie, wasn't even in my top 10. So what do you think, and what are some of the Best Picture winners that you disagree with?
Yeah, this is an interesting topic because people have many different viewpoints about the Oscars. I also don't agree with the Oscars very often. Usually the movie that wins Best Picture for me is a movie that I liked and maybe was in my top 10, but definitely wasn't my Best Picture. However, the thing is, it's a system, and so I can't say, like, in my mind I think, oh, they're wrong because I think this other movie's better. But I have to step back and think, well, this is a group of people all voting, and this is what they think. And so even if I don't agree with it, at least it went through its process, unless it's rigged or something like that. and I do have some qualms with some of the kind of Oscar advertising, like the ads they put in for your consideration and trying to get, you know, voters to vote for them. I think that, you know, a smaller movie that doesn't have the budget to market for a 4-year consideration has less of a chance than like a big budgeted movie. So I think that might be a little unfair. But in terms of who they pick, yeah, I don't agree with it most of the time. I mean, I have a list here. In 2011, The Artist won. I liked Moneyball more. 2007, No Country for Old Men won, which I liked, but I loved There Will Be Blood. 2005, Crash, I didn't really care for it. I thought Brokeback or Capote was better. 2004, $1 Million Baby won. I thought The Aviator should have won. And this was before Scorsese had won his Oscar for The Departed, so I thought this was the chance for him, so it was kind of a double insult to me. Beautiful Mind won in 2001. I thought Lord of the Rings, Fellowship of the Ring should have won, but that was, I think, a situation where they wanted to wait for Return of the King so they could honor that movie. And then 1997, I think this is probably one of the biggest ones. I'm a big James Cameron fan. However, I wasn't a fan of Titanic, except for the last 30 minutes, which I thought was really cool. And that won over LA Confidential, which is one of my favorite movies of all time. So, in my opinion, yeah, I don't agree with them, but I don't know if you can say, oh, they're wrong or right. How about you?
You know, I think the Oscars are such a touchy subject, but the one thing that I've learned is that before really falling in love with film, I only used to go see the big box office movies. So every year for Oscar season, there would be all these movies that were being nominated that I had never even heard of, never mind gone to see. And something that I've learned now that I'm seeing so many more films is that now I understand why they do what they do. Now I understand that these smaller films that maybe the world isn't going to see are really beautifully done, and they're telling amazing stories. For instance, Inside Llewyn Davis, not a huge budgeted film, not something that the whole world is going to see, but a truly amazing film that's going to make you feel. The world's not going to see that film. Hopefully they do, because it's great. And I think that the Oscars are a great almost tool to kind of open people's eyes to be able to see these films, because they're going to want to know why they won Best Picture or Best Sound. And so then they're going to see it. So while I appreciate the Academy and I love what they do for film, I think beyond the awards and beyond the pretty dresses, it's really opening people's eyes up to really fall in love with all kinds of film and not just Thor or Catching Fire or the new Disney movie, because I love those films. I love to go see those films. But in the last 3 years, my eyes have been opened up to so many amazing pieces of art that I think that the Oscars are a lot of fun now.
It brings variety. I mean, I didn't see Inside Llewyn Davis yet, but another movie, Fruitvale Station.
Perfect example.
Probably will get, maybe not nominated for Best Picture, but we'll get nominated for Best Actor with Michael B. Jordan.
Fingers crossed.
So people will see it. Last year, Beasts of the Southern Wild is a movie that most people hadn't heard of until it got nominated, and I saw that and I really liked it. So yeah, you're going to get a lot of smaller movies. There are some that slip through the crack. You know, there's movies in the past that I love that didn't get nominated. Movies like Lawless, A Prophet, The Wrestler, stuff like that. That didn't get nominated that I thought were my favorite movies of those years. But all in all, I think the Oscars are a good thing, because they do bring attention, like you said. And it's more than, obviously we have the glitz and the glamour and the red carpet and all that stuff, but when it comes down to it, it is about movies, and the voters are voting for movies for whatever reasons, and hopefully the right reasons. So I look forward to Oscars every year.
And look at the amount of films that are being pushed out the past couple years. And look at 2014 and 2015, the amount of film that's being put out now, the amount of content, the array of subject matter is just, there's so much that something's always going to get forgotten. And it's really sad when they do, but it's really exciting when you get to see a film that you would have never seen and are touched by it. Cheesy moment of the day, brought to you by Chrisley and AMC. Sorry.
All right, guys, so that's the end of our show. Thanks for joining us. I want to thank Chrisley. Where can we find you online?
You guys can find me on Twitter at Chrisley, and check out my blog on Tumblr, The Movie Chick. Thanks for all your comments yesterday on the Wonder Woman blog.
And you guys can find me on Twitter at ThinkHero and on YouTube, ThinkHero Pro. And make sure you subscribe to the AMC Theaters YouTube channel and follow us on Facebook and Twitter and all that good stuff. So for now, see you guys later.
If you like this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe to AMC Movie News on YouTube. It's free and a great way to stay updated with all the latest movie news, and check out our daily show, AMC Movie Talk. Also, don't forget to check us out on Facebook and Twitter to stay in the loop for our special prizes, giveaways, and contests.